Hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining. My name is Daniel Alarcón. I'm the Technical Support Manager here at FileCloud. And today we're going to talk about what's new in FileCloud 21.2. My screen is a little bit large because I'm going to be showing a few things. Please let me know if it's too small or if it looks good to you. Okay, so what has been new in the latest version? First of all, I want to let you know that this release is one of the releases that has bring up many more features than any before. So it's because we set the foundations for this to happen almost a year ago. So you're going to see a lot of very interesting things happening in the next few releases. And today you're going to see just a small portion of what's coming in the later as well. So what's new in FileCloud 21.2? First, we have workflow automation. This is a way for your users to make some process automation workflows on the user UI. It's not on the admin UI, it's on the user. We have Microsoft Teams integration. You can share files and you can even log in from within the Microsoft Teams to your FileCloud website. We have the Compliance Center for ITAR. If you are interested in ITAR compliance, and we have been helping you comply with your product since almost a year ago. Now we have a dashboard that is going to make things more easy to manage, and it has more controls over what you can do. We also have a desktop edit client. If you are used to FileCloud, that the sync client, if you run it without any synchronization, it's going to allow you to open any Microsoft Office file on your desktop from within the FileCloud website. And the desktop client is basically a standalone application that is going to make this happen. So no files need to be stored on the user computer. They can edit using their own Word and Excel on the computer, but there's no need to install the sync app, and there is no need for any synchronization of files. We have also made some changes on the online onboarding process. Whenever you or anyone you know opens a new trial on FileCloud Online, that is going to bring up some example data, example folders, example files, example users. You can get rid of them at any time, but it's just for you to make any of the testing of FileCloud more simple. We also have a new group management. And the difference now is that group management is not limited anymore to the admin user interface. You can promote any of your users of your full accounts to manage a group. That means that user can add, remove, or if you give them permissions enough, also they can delete groups from within FileCloud, which makes group management for managers from your users much more simple. They no longer have to log into another user interface to be able to do that. We also have only Office integration. Before today, we already had Microsoft Office 365 integration, and we also had LibreOffice integration as well. So now we're going to be able to integrate with only Office. If you have that application, this is now available. You can also, we also have an updated smart data leak prevention interface. In addition to what we had before 21.2, now there is a wizard that is going to help you build the rules. That is going to make much more simple and syntax error-free when you're creating all your data leak prevention rules. We also have the standalone file browser. If you use the sync app before 2020, you will remember that the sync application had a small file browser option that it's going to let you navigate through My Files or Team folders or to whatever folder you have access, and let you open files, download files, edit the files from within that file browser that is going to run as a standalone application from now on. And finally, we have file approval actions. This is in conjunction to what we have with workflow automation. That means, for example, if you want any shares that are created from within a specific path that need to be approved by a manager, or any operation that needs any type of approval from another full user, they're going to be able to do that now, and you can automate the process in a time base, specified to a path, specified to a user. There's a lot of things that can happen now with the workflow automation, and this file approval actions is something that it's been requested many times before. So we're going to get started with workflow automation. So the workflow automation, as I was mentioning before, this is going to be running from the user interface, and it lets you create very custom workflows or very simple workflows as long as complicated as you need them. And it's basically a simple interface, a drag and drop operation kind of options that is going to let your users automate processes. This is very important. This is not going to be part of what the admin can do. This is actually part of what the users can do. And you can decide which users with a policy can create workflows and can process the workflows. So it's not going to show up for everyone if you don't want to. And even a user that creates a workflow, it's able to share that workflow with someone else, with any other full account. So let me just give you a quick tour of what this is. So I'm logging here as a full user. And if I come here, you're going to see that we have now some different options that we can do. So first of all, we can have on the left menu, we have the workflows option. It's going to list out any of the workflows that you already have. If we open one of them, let me log in back. Okay, workflows. Okay, and if I edit the workflow, you're going to see what it's actually trying to do, right? So, okay, 1 second. Seems like you're not able to see my screen. Okay. Hey, thanks, Daniel, for the report. Please let me know if everyone can see my screen now. Okay, perfect. Okay, excellent. Let me continue then. So as I was saying, if when you log in as a full user that has the option to do workflows, you're going to see a new menu item here on the left called workflows. Once you click on it, it's going to list the workflows that you have available here. So let's say I want to see what this share approval company is doing. So if I click here and then edit a workflow, you can see that it's actually doing the following. It's going to start and it's going to be triggered when a share begins, right? So if a share is created or updated, and I'm limiting to a path, I'm limiting the action to a team folder that it's called DEF company. And once any of the users, any of your full accounts or guest accounts opens a share on that path, then it's going to request for an approval, right? So it's going to do an approval, is going to send an email to any of the administrators that are selected as approvers for this. And we can send a message. And it's already going to show a default message that says, please approve this share. And in case you need these kind of approvals to happen with more than one full manager, you can select here. And let's say if I'm going to send this to maybe 6 people, I only need the permission from 3 of them. You can set that limit here. Once that share is sent, once that approval is sent to the user, we can say here, if approved, then the share is approved. If rejection, the share is going to be rejected, and we complete the workflow. So how does that work in real life? So let's try that. We're going to go with this clients. We're going to do the DF company and create a new folder. Okay, and we're going to share this folder. Okay, and we're going to send it to a user here. add user to this share. And we're going to send it over. And what's going to happen is I have here this other user. It's the one that has been requested approver. So you have two options here. You can have here an option that says manage actions. Okay, we have the option here to manage actions. Or, and you can see here that it's waiting for my approval on test folder number 2. This user is going to receive an email. Once they log in, they can see their notifications from here. They can drop down from the user and go to manage actions. Any of those options is good, and they can simply approve by clicking on the green button of approve, and that action has been successfully approved. So that's how those workflows work. It can do any other action that is available here on the editor. For example, that file approval is one of them, and it's one of the most important ones. But we can do other type of workflows. So we can create a new workflow. We can say create a new workflow. We're going to start here. And we can do, these are the triggers of a workflow available right now. We can do automatically on a file activity. That means if a user uploads, removes, or any type of action on a file, on a share, or it can be initiated with a right click. For example, we can go to the file browser and just right click on a file and click on the workflow available for that. Or it can be a periodic workflow that can run. And for example, let's say you have a folder that is going to be receiving new contracts or anything like that, and you want anything that comes into that folder to move it to a folder that is called on process. You can do that as well. So let's try something like that. Let's click here. Let's say that we're going to start from October 10th, and we're going to do once a day, and we're going to finish on October 18th. Okay, so what is the condition or when this is going to be triggered, right? So here you can add a condition, or you can add something different. For example, we can say, okay, you know what? I'm going to create a directory, or I'm going to move a file, or I'm going to copy a file. So let's say I want this to happen. Maybe I don't need this condition for now. So we're going to do, okay, so anything that begins from my team folder, let's go here to all my files, team folder. We're going to go here to, let's go for the clients folder, and let's call it from the source folder. And I want to move it to, let's see here, to the client's destination folder. Okay, so, and we have the option to overwrite any files that are existing there if you want. We can save this. So this is going to basically be doing a move operation, and it's not asking for any approval of that action to happen. But let's say you want to notify a user when this actually happens. So then we can send an email, and we can notify another user. Can say contracts move to process. Files have been moved to process. Okay, and then I finish my workflow. So this is a different one. This can happen once a day. Is going to copy the files from a source folder to a destination folder, and is going to send an email to another user, and it completes. And you can change here the name of your workflows. from source to destination. And we click on create, and that's it. Now, anything that happens here is going to be copying or moving the files from one directory to another. So this is just a simple example of how these workflows work. It can get very creative, and I think it's going to be much more. It's going to be adding more integrations in the future. So if you have any questions or any suggestions for this, please don't hesitate to contact support on this. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so that is for workflows automation. We have a Microsoft Teams integration that I was mentioning before. I don't have a team application list to show you live what it looks like, but we do have a couple of screenshots that is going to help you understand what it means, right? So once you open your Microsoft Teams, on the bottom, you're going to see a FileCloud icon once the integration is done by your administrator. And you can see here that you can share any file or any folder with your users during a meeting or sharing it with your team. And it's going to be a FileCloud share, right? So you can create private shares or shares protected by password. All those actions are going to be showing here as a post. So it's completely integrated in your team application. And besides that, you can also log into your FileCloud user interface from within your Microsoft Teams application. So this has been requested by customers before. So this is going to help you manage your FileCloud from within Teams without going away from it. Okay. Remember, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put it on the QA. I'm going to go over them at the end of the webinar today. Okay, now the next one here is the Compliance Center for ITAR. Okay, so what does that mean? Before today, all your systems were available to comply with ITAR. We have other compliances that we're looking for example, HIPAA, GDPR, and anything like that, or CFR. All those are coming in the future or are already available, but manually, right? We don't have the controls yet. We're going to be adding them in the next few releases. But the main idea of this compliance center is to help you comply with the regulations that you're looking for. So the first one to make it through the compliance center, it's ITAR. And let me show you how that looks from the admin perspective. So on your left menu, if you have an enterprise license or you have a GovCloud license, on your left menu, there's something new here called compliance. That is on the governance section. So when I click on compliance, we're going to see the following. We're going to see, okay, you can see an overview if how many rules are enabled, how many have failed, how many have been bypassed, and the recent events either failed or something that is being bypassed on the system. Once you're here, what is it actually doing is going to be shown here on the ITAR menu. And on ITAR, I can show here what are the ITAR definition rules, the control that I can enable or disable, what is the effective date of that control, and what is the current status. Okay. So, and what is the action if you want to edit this action, or if you, let's say you want more information about this rule, you can click on any of those numbers and it's going to take you to the ECFR Gov page and it's going to show you, okay, what does it mean? Right? What is it trying to do? Or why is this rule important or relevant for FileCloud? So that's what you can understand here from the ITAR controls that we have. We also know, you can also see what is it actually doing, right? So for here, if you click on the information section from here, you're going to see how do we comply with the 120.6 rule, right? So you can see what is the about of the rule. And you can also say, you know what, I'm going to bypass it. I want to monitor it, but I don't want to enforce it. So you can do that kind of option as well. But you can see here that at least for this 120.6, is saying that to indicate which files are defense articles, click the edit button and select the metadata set with a tag. If the metadata set exists and is enabled, status is okay. If not, it's going to show some issues. So what does this mean? In general, and this is, I'm going to talk to only this specific because ITAR itself is just a complete different topic. But what we're saying here is whenever you have whenever you want to meet ITAR compliance requirements, you first of all, you need to define which files are actually going to be monitored. For that to happen, we recommend creating a metadata set. And that metadata set is going to be assigning files to say, okay, this file needs to be ITAR compliant, or this file doesn't have to be ITAR compliant. You can do that manually from the user interface by right-clicking and putting on the metadata and assigning a value, or you can also do a smart classification. Let's say you have data sheets for Air Force, and those data sheets, each and every single one, maybe all of them are PDFs, and each of those are going to have something in the document that says private information, ITAR compliance. You can create a smart classification rule that is going to look for that sentence on every PDF file that is uploaded into FileCloud. Doesn't matter if it's my files or if it's team folders. And when it finds one, it's going to set that metadata value to that file automatically. So for example, if I want to edit this one, you're going to see that it's just asking me, okay, choose what is the metadata for identifying defense articles. So I say, okay, I have a metadata set that is called ITAR documents. And that's it. Then from now on, this compliance center is going to be looking. And if there is any actions on those files, and you want, for example, you want to restrict that those files cannot be shared, or those files can only be shared within the US or anything like that, then that metadata value is going to be helping you achieve that. Okay. So what else will we have here on ITAR compliance? We have choose the metadata for technical data, choose a data leak prevention rule that allows logins from within the US only. So same thing, right? The compliance center is helping you understand what you need. And once you understand what you need, you can also do it from here. Let's say we go to the smart DLP. Then it's going to say, you know what, I'm going to restrict login to US only. It's going to be a login operation. And we can take this opportunity to also look around the expression builder that it's also part from 21.2. So we can create a rule expression builder. I'm going to add a new rule. And we're going to say, you know what, if the request country equals the US, okay, and I update. If the request country is the US, then I'm going to allow. If I say allow, then it's going to restrict anyone else. And I want to say something like login is only available from US. Okay, and I'm going to set it to permissive right now just to show you in case it blocks me what I'm trying to do. So if I click on create, then I have this new DLP rule. And if I go back to my compliance center, and I go to ITAR and say, you know what, this is telling me, okay, choose what is the DLP rule that you have set to achieve this. So if I go here, I click on, this is my data leak prevention rule, restrict, login to US only, update, and that's it. And if I refresh, anything that is not compliant is going to show here as an issue. Okay, so for example, I'm having two issues show up in here. So what does it mean? So let's say this one, for example, it says, set the audit login level to the most detailed user. So if I click on the issues, it's going to say, oh, you know what? Your audit login level is not set to full. login level is set to request. So what does it mean? So if I go close here and I go to settings and I go to the administrator, this is what it means, right? So my audit setting is set to request, and one of the requirements for ITAR is to set it to full. So if I change it to full and save it, and I go back to compliance and I go back to ITAR and I say, let's refresh this. Okay, so now I'm complying with that rule and is no longer showing here as an issue. The other one that is showing here as an issue right now is saying that I haven't encrypted my storage yet. We're not going to do that on the session, but this is what I mean, right? It's going to show you if there is some setting on your FileCloud website that is preventing you to comply with ITAR. So one of the most important ones is, for example, if you shouldn't be sharing or creating public shares that anonymous users can log in and see. So let's make a change here. Let's say from the global default policy, I'm going to say allow all shares. Okay, and I go back to compliance and then show a refresh yet. See what I have right now, and I go, let's refresh. Okay, so it's now showing one issue here that says choose policy setting that permits private share only or do not permit sharing. If you click on the issue, it's going to say that there is a policy share mode that allows public share, and it's going to tell you what is that policy, and it's the global default policy. So I hope this makes it very, very clear to how to make these things. It's a very complex understanding of what is the ITAR compliance. So we have make it as simple as possible for your administrators to make sure that you are compliant with ITAR. If you have any questions on this, or if you want to know any further information on how this works, please don't hesitate to contact support. Okay, so moving on with our webinar here, we also have a desktop edit application that I was talking about. So what does it mean? We can install a desktop edit that is this new icon that you see here. If I click on it, it's going to show a small dashboard. It's going to show very similar to the Drive application if you're used to that, but the difference is the following. If I'm logging as a user here on FileCloud on the user interface, right? I don't have Drive application installed, I don't have Sync application installed or anything like that. And I want to allow my users, you know what, you can edit this in your desktop. So you're going to see here that it says edit in desktop. Once I click on it, it starts a download process. And here is my file, right? So let's just make a change. Changes from webinar, October 6, 2021. And let's close and save this file. Okay, so I just edited my file outside of FileCloud without having any application or the file for offline access. And you can see here what is the activity that has been happening, right? I downloaded the test score document. It was locked. You can see here from the settings that I can lock files when open. And once it's uploaded, it's going to release the lock. And if I click here on my activity, you're going to see that I updated this file today at 8:32. And if I preview it on the web, I can see here my changes from the webinar October 6, 2021. So the important thing is that now it's a standalone application. You don't need to actually fully deploy the Sync app to make this option available. If you are not looking for any synchronization and you want to allow the users to edit the files using their desktop application, this is going to be your best option now. Okay, so we have the desktop edit. We also have the online onboarding. And what I was saying is that whenever a new FileCloud Online trial is created, there is now going to be example data on my files, on team folders, example users. you can get rid of all of them at any time, but it's going to make anyone trying to understand how FileCloud works more simple. It's going to be easier than before. So this onboarding process is also going to continue to evolve in the next few months, where if you have a FileCloud Online subscription, and you want, for example, to upgrade your users or to make payments or to make anything like that, everything is going to be more simple in the future. So this is continuing to be we're streamlining this process more and more to make administrating as a owner of the platform more simple for FileCloud Online. The next thing that is new is group management. So this group management, you can see here that we changed the interface, and in here, normally you can manage the groups from the group section. And in the group section now, let's say we want to allow this engineering group to be edited by another user. So you can see here that right now there is no admin assigned to this, but I can add a few users to make this possible. So I'm going to give Damon Phillips all the permissions, and I'm going to have my user Peter Parker as well as an administrator for this group. So what does it mean on the user interface? If I go back now as a user here, and I click on my user on the top right corner, I now see a new option that is called Manage User Groups. Okay, so let me, one thing here, let me refresh. Perfect. Now Manage User Groups. I think one thing here, very important. Good that happened during this. So the users that we want to upgrade to be able to do this, they need to have the permissions as a promoted administrator. And so let's say I have here, let's say, okay, let's add a new role. Let's call it group management. And we're going to look for groups. We're going to read, create, delete, update, create the role. And I'm going to move my users here. Okay, so if we go back, let's go here from within the Peter Parker website. So we click on Manage User Groups. But I don't have permissions to, let's see from here. To manage groups. Groups. What? Okay. Okay, for some reason it's not letting me manage this, but let me just show you here very quick. So once you log in as a user, you're going to get this manage group option that is going to tell you what are the members. You can add new members, you can remove members. And as you can see from the permissions as an admin, you can also decide, you know what, you can also, let me add it here. And let's add this one as here. You can add users, you can remove users, you can remove the group. So we close it. And all that is going to show up on this new dashboard for groups that the users have now available, which I'm not pretty sure why it's showing me like this, but if you have any questions for that, please let me know. We also have the OnlyOffice integration that is going to allow you to edit Word documents, PowerPoint documents, and Excel documents. I don't have an only Office application running here, but you can see here that from the clients, if we go to the settings, and we're going to go to the web edit feature, I can now integrate with only Office besides the Office Online Cloud server, the Office Online on-premise server, or Collabora Cloud. You can now integrate with only Office, and it's going to let you open and edit any applications with the online version of only Office as well. Okay, and another new feature here is the new Smart Data Leak Prevention Admin UI that I showed you recently. And the one that we had before hasn't gone away. I can show you here that if we go to our Smart DLP, you're going to see that if I want to create a new rule, I still can use the text editor, and the rule creation help remains here, right? So you can just copy paste whatever you're trying to do here as a reference, copy, follows, paste, or you can use the rule expression builder. Okay, so that is a new functionality here with this rule expression builder that we believe is going to make things more simple from now on. The next thing that we have is we now have a standalone file browser. That standalone file browser used to be part of the Sync application that is now running completely independent. So you can see here, let's open the file browser. Okay, so this file browser, it's here running on the background. You can see here that lets you navigate through the same thing that I see on the user website. So if I go here and see Damon Phillips files, and if I go here to my files, whatever I'm seeing here is the same thing that I'm seeing here on the file browser. So this is a cloud file browser. And let's say you can do many operations from here as well. For example, you can lock files, you can edit files, you can do all those kind of actions. So if we also want to edit any file, you can do that as well. So if I double click, it will download the file. You can see here that it's downloaded from the file, and we can make changes here from file browser. October 2021. And save the changes. And it's going to tell you here, okay, this has been saved to the cloud. So it's an easy way to navigate without having to install, again, no need for installation for Sync application or Drive to have this file browser option available. Okay, and our last topic here is something that we already checked on the file action approval. How does it look and how is notified as a user? You can approve or deny from the action menu. You can do it from the notifications dropdown. All those options are available. So if you have any questions for anything related to 21.2, you can check our release notes. That is going to help you understand how this works. And you can see screenshots here. We have independent documentation pages for each of the new features. So for example, if you want to see more information on workflows, you have here a video of how that works. You have more how to create a workflow, the triggers, the steps, the share approval, delete workflow, the rename, all of that is available here. Same thing for the compliance center, the desktop edit client, and all the new features. So that's all I have for you today. Let me see if you have any questions. Okay, so Christian is asking, can user desktop edit simultaneously, or when one person opens it, does it lock it from everyone else editing? Yes, it's going to lock the file from anyone else from editing. It's not a collaboration tool. And to avoid that, you have the option to lock it for that. So if you see here, and you see the settings from the desktop edit, we have the option to lock the files when open, to say yes or no. mute notifications, and run and startup. So it's going to allow you to lock the files. The users can open it as read-only, any other user, until the file is released by this user. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, perfect. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope I was able to answer most of the questions of what is new with FileCloud 21.2. As I was saying before, it's not just the new features. Also remember that there are many new things, many fixes that are from the latest release. So you can go to the release notes and understand all the changes that you can see on this list that happen on the new version. Okay. Thanks, Daniel, for your comments. So thank you, everyone else, and hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.